Camille Macres is the author of the cookbook Paleogasm and host of Paleo, Love, and Transformation. She is most excited about her work with the School of Inner Beauty and it is a women's transformation program that utilizes the best of natural health, neuroscience, psychology, spirituality, and a heaping dose of self-love to provide women the education to release their radiance and beauty. Let's give her a round of applause.
Yay! Hello, everybody. Wow, this is not exactly what I was expecting, for like the 3 months I've been thinking about being up here on stage. So this is fun. Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah? Okay, cool. So maybe for my sake as much as all of yours, but will you guys join me for a minute and just closing our eyes, taking a couple deep breaths, just grounding ourselves into this space here today? And I am going to invite you all, as you listen to this talk today, to listen from a couple different places. So one, it would be awesome if you wanted to take a couple notes. I'm going to be leaving you with some things to take away. But I'd also really love, I know probably most of the weekend, we have all been listening lots from the places of our mind and our logic and figuring things out. And my presentation today is really meant to be received from a place of your heart. I sort of hooked you here. I'll just tell you, I hooked you guys here with the word weight loss because I know that most people here are interested in that kind of thing. But what I'm really here to talk with all of you about today is loving yourself and giving you a little bit of my story and then some practices, really the things that I did to heal my relationship with food and my body. And that has led to really pretty miraculous weight loss, but it didn't happen the way that I thought that it would happen. So listen with your minds and take notes, but also really listen from your heart because what I have to say to you today really is coming from a place beyond your logic, all right? So why I care about this specific conversation so much. As you heard, I am a paleo chef. I've been a chef for the last 10 years. I have a software company called Recipe RX, and it's all about healing with whole food. So that's been my mission, the thing that I've been doing for a really long time. But unfortunately, it actually wasn't the thing that unlocked the person who's standing here today. The person who doesn't freak out about the food she eats, the person who, really, I look in the mirror and I really, 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 really love myself now. And none of that wasn't there when I was just doing the paleo thing or I was just doing the healing or just doing the whole foods thing. From a really young age, I never started my timer. That's helpful. From a really young age, how far in am I? That would have really helped, right? Okay, whatever. We're just going to keep going. Okay, great. 16 minutes in, 4 minutes in. Oh, God. See what she's trying to do to me? So from a really, really, really young age, I started using food as love. Can anybody resonate with that? Who's ever eaten to feel love? Are there any men here who have done that? Okay, because sometimes I wonder if it really is just a chick thing. Did you guys ever used to watch Friends? So there was this episode of Friends like a decade ago, and you remember Monica, she had a huge problem with her weight. We only saw her as skinny Monica, but she was having this day where she was just eating and eating and eating, and Ross comes in and he just screams at her, and he goes, "Food is not love, Monica!" And she looks at him like, "What?" And I looked at the TV like, "What?" Of course it is. If food isn't love, then what the hell is it? And that was really what food was for me, really my entire life. Food still is love to me, but in a different way. So I grew up in a home that was really very insecure in a lot of ways. We didn't have a lot of money. My parents fought constantly. There just wasn't a lot of love. And so from a really young age, love for me was food. It was gluten. Specifically, it was toast. Specifically, it was like white Wonder Bread cinnamon toast. And I would eat that stuff all day long. If my parents were yelling, I would be eating toast. If I was sad about something and my parents didn't really have the emotional wherewithal themselves to help me work through it, so I was doing it with food. And a really awesome thing about that is that I was super gluten intolerant, and nobody knew that. And so I was constipated all the time. I thought it was normal to go to the bathroom once a week. I was really, really depressed. I was always retaining water. And, on top of not getting the skills from my parents to really know how to live and flourish, it was just really, really, really hard, because on one hand, food was the enemy. Food was the thing that was keeping me from being this ideal version of myself, but then food was also love. So please tell me you get this, right? Like the rock and the hard place of our relationship with food? Yeah. So it got its worst when my freshman 15 was actually my freshman 30. And my body was just this huge balloon. And so, it was up and down the diet roller coaster. It was, I was a raw vegan. I did this. I did calorie count. I did everything most of us have done. And I did about 18 months ago, even after I'd been doing the gluten and dairy-free thing forever, I found paleo. And within 4 days, my body was like, thank you. Thank you. And so I did start to feel better. The depression started to clear up. The aches and pains in my body got better. And then I discovered juicing again. And so I started drinking my green juice every day and eating paleo, and was like, yes, I'm like really, really, really on the right track here. And but it still wasn't enough, because this is like the moment. If you're in a movie, like the turnaround, the climax, like when everything changed, was I had a realization one day. I was already successful in my business. People already liked me. I've always been like a likable, fun, cute girl. But I had this day where I realized that everything that the world was saying about me, that, oh my gosh, Camille, you're so great, and we just love having you around, and you're the life of the party, I realized that wasn't the conversation I was having with myself when I was laying in bed alone. That I did not really love myself. And everything about me that I thought was good was all based upon what I was doing, what I was accomplishing, how much I was giving, how much money I was making, and I was exhausted. And so at that moment, I made this like ruthless dedication to myself that I was never going to tolerate talking to myself in a way unlike what the world would talk to me. And I remember the moment, and what showed up afterwards, though, for the days after that, it's like as soon as you begin to focus on something, you begin to just see things you never saw before. I actually had no idea how poorly I was treating myself until I was like hyper-vigilantly focused on it. And I want you guys to really remember this, because I'm about to tell you about the self-love practices that I used that really allowed me to become this woman. But I want you to really get that when I started out, it was really, really, really hard. And I was already a great girl who was doing transformation, who was reading spiritual and self-help books. I was already in that world. And I had weeks where, as I was doing these practices that I'm going to be sharing with you guys, I felt like the biggest BS fraud ever, because I didn't believe any of it. And I was talking to a friend last night, and he actually gave me this awesome, you guys, we need to have a quote, or no, we need to have some statistics, right, because we are at Paleo FX. How many times do you think a person has to fail, like in general, before they get it? Like whatever it is. Like, does anybody have any idea? 10? Any other ideas? 15? 52 for the average. And do you know how many times the average adult tries something before they give up? How many times? 2. The average child tries 8 times. And when he said that last night, I was so thankful. It really clicked. Because, like, how much of the time do we have, like, this amazing motivation when we first start out doing something, and then it just doesn't go the way you think it's supposed to go a couple times, and you're like, oh, it must not be for me, and you go away, right? That's a big difference between the 2 times we actually try, or even the 8 times, and sometimes the 52 times it takes to be able to create a habit and have it be something real in your life. So I'm telling you all of that because if you are just getting started with this like I was, you're going to have to make a commitment to yourself. Because what you're probably going to be doing, depending on where you start out, is you're really going to be undoing a lot of critical programming that you have been being fed your entire life, whether by your parents, by the media, or just by that nasty little critter that lives in your head. So where are we at with time? Awesome. Okay. So first, so I'm going to tell you actually, so to bring this back really quickly to weight loss and health in general, I want to tell you what is going to begin to happen for you and even in your body when you begin to take on these practices of self-love. So as you guys all know, you're a very intelligent group here, that hormones are sort of important, right, in being happy and managing your weight. And having too many stress hormones in your body is not that good, right? We're doing lots of things to manage cortisol and manage stress. So one of the main physiological things that happens when you really begin to choose and love yourself is you begin to relax. You begin to be able to let go. You begin to breathe. And your body begins to come back into a natural state of flow. I'm going to tell you about one of my one-on-one weight loss clients in a minute who had some ridiculous results around that. Another thing that happens is as you begin to truly rewire your brain is you just begin choosing habits and activities that are loving. I know for me, I used to be a massive binge eater. Again, it was the love thing. You're like, I need love, 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 I need love. And then, you feel like crap for the next day, 2, 3, 4 days afterwards. That's not loving, right? So what happens when you begin to love yourself is you truly start to choose the foods that make you feel good, not the foods that are just going to, well, sometimes I do still actually choose foods that just taste really good because those are emotionally satiating, but in general, you naturally want to choose the foods that make you feel good as opposed to, and this is really important, the context of I eat paleo, I exercise, I take good care of my body because I am broken and I'm hoping that doing all of these things is going to fix me. Has anybody ever, it's sort of like, it's not a conscious thought, but it's one of those things that lives back there, that there's something with me that's fundamentally flawed, and if I can go out and do all of the right things, if I can do the right exercise, if I can perfectly tinker with my diet, then I can be good enough. So that's really the old paradigm, and what I'm asking you to really shift out of in this is coming from a place of, and this is what self-love helps with, is coming from a place of, I am perfect, whole, and complete, just as I am. Can you just even, just stop for a moment and think about those words? Is that when you say that to yourself, just say that to yourself. I am perfect, whole, and complete, just as I am. When I say that, and just please be honest, how many of you, when I say that, really feel that? Who really resonates with that statement? One? So for the most part, we are coming from a place, and this was me, well, this is still me about 60% of the day because it is a practice to come back into the place, into the mindset of, I am not broken. I am not a problem to be solved, that who I am really is enough, period. So coming back and grounding myself into that every single day, then it allows me to eat the foods and do the exercise and do the supplement protocols from a position of I love me and I am contributing to this already perfect, whole, and beautiful body. Does that make sense? Could you guys see that, even just taking that on, that mindset shift of I'm broken and I do a bunch of stuff to fix myself, and shifting that, can you guys see that by itself would be probably pretty revolutionary? It would, right? So the next thing you do when you begin to love yourself, and I find this especially true for women, is you begin to put up boundaries. Most men are better at this. Men are better at having a need and getting it met. Women are the worst. I actually remember I was at this conference once, and they joked that when a man needs to pee, as soon as a man needs to pee, he gets up and he goes to the bathroom and he pees. Women, we need to pee, and then we wait 3 hours until we can't hold it any longer, and we're walking to the bathroom doing a pee-pee dance. Yes? Because we're always doing and that's it's a simple little example, but that's women are crazy. We are constantly doing everything for everybody else but ourselves, our kids, our bosses, our husbands, our friends. And so what happens when you begin to love yourself is you begin to set boundaries. You begin to express to the people in your life the things that you need. You begin to do things that are loving, that fill your tanks. You begin to demand enough sleep. You begin to demand time with your friends. You begin to demand quiet time. And all of that, it's all part of that package. So now I'm going to get, there's other stuff. 5 minutes. Okay, good. Okay, super important. You stop judging yourself. You can't love and judgment. They actually can't live in the same space at the same time. So as you are making a conscious choice to love yourself, you're actually not even able to be in the space of judgment. So I took on a practice. I do this to this day. I have made, again, a declaration to myself that I am never, ever, ever going to judge the food that I put in my mouth ever again. Now, of course, it happens. But what I used to do, and I'm sure what a lot of people who are at this conference do, is you eat something that is not paleo or, because we know everything about what everything does in our body physiologically. And we're judging oh my God, I ate this gluten is going to stay in my body for 2 weeks. And oh my God, I'm doomed. And, we just get into that frenetic thing. She's laughing, she knows. And you just stop that. Unplug that. Don't let that continue. That's absolutely essential. So anyway, now I'm going to give you guys some practices really quick. Number 1, has anybody ever heard of the 5 love languages? Raise your hand. Okay, good. Yay. Okay, have you guys taken the quiz? Cool. Okay, so if you haven't yet, there's this awesome short quiz. It's at the number 5, lovelanguages.com. And basically what the 5 love languages is, it's all of the ways, it's the 5 primary ways that we give and receive love. And now you're probably asking, what does this have to do with weight loss? But what I have found, it is the number 1 thing that I have my personal weight loss clients do and the women in the School of Inner Beauty is go and they take this love language quiz. So there's 5 love languages. There is words of affirmation. So you love, complimenting people and you love receiving verbal affirmation. There's gifts, there's quality time, there's acts of service. Acts of service is mine. The guy I'm seeing the other day, he made my bed and then he watered my garden. It was the most amazing thing ever. It really was. So, and then the last one, I can't think of this moment, physical touch. Yeah, that's my other one. So, so what is so amazing about this is, I'm just going to tell you about Kathy. Kathy is a woman that I started working with about 4 months ago. She came to me 80 pounds overweight. She's been doing it forever. And I had her and her husband both take this quiz. She found that she was a physical touch. So the way that she gave and received love primarily was through touch, and her husband was words of affirmation. And so, they'd been married for 15 or 20 years, and she had been touching him. He had been complimenting her, and they're wondering, oh my God, why am I they both really want to love each other, and the signals are just crossing. So just by having that awareness, they just started loving each other the way that the other person needed to be loved. And this is where it goes back to the hormones I was talking about. She had not gotten her period in 5 years. Less than 2 weeks after they started doing this, she got her period back. Her husband is writing testimonials for my website saying, I'm happier than I've ever been, and I'm doing better at work. This is her husband. All I did was have them take this quiz, and charged him a lot of money for that, but that's another story. So learn your love languages and have communication with the people in your life. Find out what your kids' love languages are. Find out what your boss's love languages are. It's really, really miraculous. The next thing is, okay, this is something that I've done a lot of, and so I wrote myself this letter, and I wrote it I've done it a couple different ways. You can write a letter you can imagine the person who loves you most in your life. You can imagine, for me, I write it from my higher self to the little girl that lives in me. And I wrote this letter of it's as sappy and awesome as it could be. And for 3 months, I held this letter in my pocket, folded up, and anytime I was feeling not good, I took the letter out and I just read it to myself. On bad days, I would have to read it 5 or 6 times. So write a love letter to yourself and keep it with you. The next thing is, I have so many more. I have about 100 more. Okay, we talked about boundaries and needs. Oh my God, we did it. Okay, so we got love languages, love letters, learning what your needs and boundaries are and being like ruthless about getting that into your schedule, and having zero tolerance for judging your body. Oh, the mirror. I didn't talk about the mirror. Oh my God, that's the most important thing. 5 to 10 minutes in the morning, 5 to 10 minutes at night. Stare yourself down in the mirror and love yourself. It is going to be terrible at first. All I did at first was looked at every flaw, the wrinkle, the this, the that, and that's the thing. Over time, you will begin to truly, truly, truly love the person you see in the mirror. And my time is up, and thank you.
Anybody have a question?